Welcome back to More Cowbell, Please. This is part 2 of the Paul Mabury podcast. We do a lot of career advice stuff. I think Paul's got some great wisdom on this. You may not agree with everything he says, but hey, that's part of the fun of it, right? We also get into the company he formed with his buddy Dustin called That Sound, which has become one of the most influential and most widely used drum sound libraries in the history of drum sounds. So we get into that and a bunch of Australianisms that are great, cross-cultural confusions. Of course, we're both married to American wives, so we've had a lot of cross-cultural confusion along the way. Hey, I'm giving away 10 grand to anybody who's subscribed. I'm just kidding. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Jordan Malowski episode, I'm still planning on making it for Thursday. We'll see if I can get it done in time. I hope so. All right, here we go. This is Paul Mabury. You think deeply, right?
Yeah, I try.
And I know you've been asked this, so you've like young guys who are just starting out. What do I need to do if I want to do this as a career?
Yeah.
Be it a producer, a drummer, an instrumentalist, whatever it is. What do you think the key things are? Especially, and I'm going to put this in a faith context, people who feel like Christian music's this is what they're called to do.
For people who think they're called to do Christian music, that's foreign to me, but I obviously know that some people are. I just come at music that it's not Christian or non-Christian, it's just music, because it's all from God. When Chris Martin is going into the outro of Fix You, that to me is one of the more worshipful musical presentations that I've ever heard. Yet it didn't come through the evangelical church. But has it impacted the church? 100%. And so for me, it's like, how many more stories are there like that? Some people find closeness to God while they're listening to Radiohead or John Coltrane. For me, it's not about Christian music as much as it is about finding connection with God through music. Miracles have happened through the Bible stories, through music, like Jericho is probably the biggest one, like the most, atmosphere of praise brought down the walls, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. Our role with making music inside the church and outside the church is to build an atmosphere that takes people's focus off the problem and places it on the answer. Takes people's focus off what could be an oppression and allows them to encounter healing. And I stress that's inside and outside the church. That's what music's, I think, greatest role is to be able to meet a need. For those who feel like they're called to do that, then you just simply have to come at it every single day. Not like a job in the oppressive sense, but in the diligence of writing a better poem, of not allowing the music to get in the way of what you're trying to say. Music is a language. It's a language just like all the other languages. However, everyone can take music in without having to go to school to learn about it. So why do I practice my instrument? It's so I can have a better conversation. If I'm learning to speak French and I'm in that learning process, I'm not very good at carrying a conversation because I'm thinking too much about how to say what I want to say. So that's why we practice. Try to practice singing better. That's why we try to play our instrument. As much as we do, it's so we can not allow that instrument to get in the way. It's allowing ourselves to speak fluently and to be, more importantly, a better listener. If you want to be in the music industry, I think you need to work every day at it. And that's the beauty of music. You never arrive. You just slowly but surely get better and better. Celebrate every part of that process. I once heard when I was in my 20s, someone say that you lose what you don't celebrate. And so for me, the longevity part of me being in music is that celebrating the good and the bad. Because now when I look back, before I had victories in music or awards from whatever that all is, when you look back, it's fun winning Grammys. To win an award is like, it's not part of the journey. Like the journey is what you look back and love. So for me, the struggle to pay the bills, when I look back over those seasons, I look back on them in a pretty fond way. Because that was like a time where Maggie and I had to come together and just be so dedicated at staying at it. The other thing about music or any kind of profession really too is like, it's just one foot in front of the other. The hardest thing to do is just to go, I'm going to go for it. Yeah, there's a great story about that. It's Tim Lauer, who's another music maker, producer in town.
Player, right?
Yeah, he's a cornerstone in this town. He was asked to speak at Belmont at a graduation ceremony. He simply was introduced. He stood up. He said, "Hands up, all those who have a plan B." A couple of hands went up, and he went, "Take it." And then he sat down. And that was it.
Wow.
And
That's fantastic.
what's that story about? Well, it's, obviously it's simple. He's like saying, if you have a plan B, you'll probably take it. It's only a matter of time. So I've never had a plan B. I don't know what I do if I don't make music. So that's why I just keep making it. And these days for me, it's different. What I do more now is probably more therapy than anything. But it's really just helping artists to get to where they want to go. And at 50, I'm a lot better at that now than I've ever been. For me now, it's very conscious effort to be like in the trenches with the artist wherever they are, and then to help them navigate and walk through whatever they have to walk through to make the music that they really want to make.
All right, so these are Australian expressions that, we're both married to Americans, so I know that we've had the experience of saying something and the wife's looked at us and gone,
Yeah.
do what?
When you least expect as well. It kind of just comes out. You're like, what? These days, mostly it happens with Mariah Smallbone, who actually is married to an Australian, obviously Joel. But it's
Right.
and there's still tons that she hasn't heard. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Hey, read some of these.
Flat out like a lizard drinking. But that's when you're busy.
Yeah, because when a lizard's drinking, it's all he can do.
Stone the crows. That's like when you're surprised something crazy happens. So you go, stone the crows.
It's crazy.
Fair go. That's unfair. Like, give him a fair go.
Oh, the one that goes with that is, have a go, you mug.
Have a go, you mug. Exactly. Like, don't be a baby. Get in it. Mad as a cut snake. That's simple. Like a chicken with its head cut off is another one. Bloody oath. That means you agree. You little ripper. Someone did well. Don't be a sook. Yeah, that's...
Haven't heard that for a while, right?
Sook means cried. Like, don't sook. Up the duff. Pregnant. Bogan. See, that's like white trash.
It's redneck. I feel like that's our redneck. We're all yobbos.
Absolutely. Yobbo and Bogan is a redneck. That's right. Dingo's breakfast. I mean...
Dingo's breakfast.
Dingo's breakfast. The one I used is like a dog's breakfast. That's when everything goes. I even used that this morning. When it's like a dog's breakfast. Spit the dummy. That means you have a little temper tantrum. Cranky. Arvo, the afternoon. Heaps means a lot. Rack off means, go away.
Did you ever hear the phrase rack off hairy legs?
Rack off hairy legs, yeah. Oh, yeah.
How mean is that?
Yeah, rack off hairy legs. And
My
that would
poor
be...
wife, when I told her that one time.
Well, rack off hairy legs is what you would normally say to someone who obviously didn't have hairy legs.
Right.
Being an Aussie, you'd be like someone who was like obviously really well manicured or whatever. You'd say rack off hairy legs. Servo, that's a gas station. All of these things we say. The hardest thing that I found to lose in my vocabulary, like just talking every day when I moved here, was tar.
Tar,
which
really?
is thank you. You don't realize in Australia how much people say tar. Like it's tar. You don't even know.
That was never part of my thing, but I remember hearing it a lot.
Tar. Yeah, tar was the thing. Like someone would hand me something, like I'd get a, macchiato or whatever, and I'd say tar, and they'd look at me like I lost my mind. We sound like crows. Yeah, tar. Everything just sounds like crows,
I got over the cultural cringe when I heard Steve Irwin, and people loved him here.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was like, that's weird.
Yeah, crikey. I mean, how many times have I said crikey in my life? Maybe 5 times in 50 years. But he said it all the time without thinking, But I found that like Adelaide, the state where, South Australia, Queensland, that's where it's really...
that thick.
Really thick.
The one I find myself saying all the time, and people don't know, is good on you.
Yeah, good on you, mate.
Like, what are you saying?
Good on you.
It's good on you. It's like a blessing.
Yeah,
and
good
then
on you, mate.
I use the word mate all the time.
Mate. Yeah, I cut mate out on purpose. I don't even really know why. I say it now when I'm hanging out with Aussies.
Right.
And
I
then
haven't done that. Every time I walk out of a store, I say, see you later, mate. And I'm like, why did I say that? I don't know what I'm saying.
Okay, champs, and that's a fun one. Good on you, mate. It's right there with good on you, mate. Righto, chef. Yep. Gov. That's like an English thing. It's so much of our stuff's so English. Settle down, turbo. That's hilarious.
Settle down, turbo.
Calm your farm. Yeah. Slow down, Seabiscuit.
I love that one.
It might have been better to say Farlap because he was the Aussie horse. All right, Muscles. That's good. What's up, Muscles? Muscles McGee. Settle pedal. Oh, I haven't heard that one.
Settle pedal.
Pump the brakes there, mate. Stay in your lane. That's very English. It's like tall poppy syndrome, which became very Australian. Who died and made you king? That's amazing. Ease up, Tiger. Nice one, sport. Yeah, it's all very sarcastic stuff. And
It is. You know, one thing I've enjoyed about America is on the whole, I know people are going to argue with this when I say it, but Americans celebrate winners.
oh, that's what I love about here. Yeah.
Australians
Yeah.
cut you down if you get too good.
Massively.
It's the tall poppy.
And that's why we find it hard. Like moving to America, you spend first couple of years resisting any kind of encouragement. Because like it's so foreign for someone to come up and say, dude, that was awesome. Man, I think it is changing in Australia. But yeah, when we were growing up, there was like, you'd never do that.
Jamie George said this one time. A godly person celebrates the victories of others. And
Yeah.
I just was like, dude, what? 2014, that Grammy comes
Yeah.
into my life.
Yeah.
And I make a post about it. I was
Yeah.
reluctant. It took me months to ever post about it because I was
Yeah.
like, what am I going to, how
Because
can
in Australia,
you do that?
you'd never do that.
Right. So, but finally I did. I'm like, I've got to work, right? I've got to do things. So I post it. And then my competitors, which really they're not, but would start congratulating me. And I'm like,
Beautiful.
what's happening?
Yeah.
And it changed my mindset. So now when I'm on Insta and somebody's having a victory or a win, I'm like, well done, mate. Good on
Exactly.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not where an Australian starts, or it's
No.
not where I started.
No, not me either, but I love it. That's where we are now. I'm very grateful that my three boys, that they're growing up in an environment where they're encouraged to be themselves and they're celebrated when they do well. To be able to celebrate someone else's win is such a wonderful thing to experience. For people who are robbed of that, it's a bummer.
Yeah, I completely agree. So the other topic we have not spoken about, and this will probably be our last thing, because
Yeah.
I'm really interested in how this all happened, and is that story. Oh no, that sound.
Oh, that sound, yeah. Okay,
That story about that sound.
That story about that sound. That sound, Dustin Burnett and myself, we were friends from Journey, and he asked me to come over and put drums on something he was producing. Put the drums down, and at the end of the session, I said, do you want some kicks and snares or whatever? And he said, yeah. So I gave him some snares and hit the kick a couple times, snares a couple times, toms, whatever. And then like a couple months later, we were hanging out, and he said, hey, I've been using those samples all the time. And I went, great. It occurred to both of us like maybe other people would use them too. The whole thing's based on this concept, and that is good things come together when art and science have the right combination. If you have too much art, it doesn't work. If you have too much science, it doesn't work. But you get the combination right. You have coffee, you have wine, you have all of these wonderfully and beautifully made creations. It's kind of the heartbeat of sensuality. So it's the same with sound. And what we found was that samples had been made too scientifically. Often it wasn't even played by the musician. It was played by an engineer who just set the mic up, did the thing, and then smacked the snare.
The assistant.
Yeah, and so the assistant hit it, exactly. And so it didn't sound like a drummer hitting the drum. If you take the same snare and you set it up and put all the mic and the pre's and everything on it, you have 4 different drummers play it, it'll sound like 4 different drums. So what we basically did was start a company where it was personality driven, musician driven. We just made samples that we used ourselves. We never made a sample that we didn't want to use. And so it was kind of a very boutique-minded concept. It's kind of like that thing where you go to a jeans store and there's just like jeans everywhere. And you kind of get overwhelmed, right? Whereas if you walk in, you're in Soho in New York City, you walk into a jeans store, there's like 3 pairs of jeans. There's like 3 different kinds. And you go, okay, well, I'm going to have those ones. Well, we based the company on that kind of concept where we made it feel very boutique. We only made sounds that we, as I said, used ourselves. And then we made it easy for people to access. This is a really good thing to kind of consider when you have an idea and you want to execute it, is the naysayers, even in America, will come. And people will say, well, this won't work. Lauren Daigle, well, that won't work. All Sons and Daughters, well, that won't work. In fact, the only wins I've had in my life were against the grain. Like every single win I've had was not meant to work, including that sound. And then we had to go through a season of people making fun of us. And which is the kind of wonderful thing about...
Seriously?
Oh, yeah. Like
what?
Well, on Instagram, social media, it would be like everyone was making a sound library. like a sample like I bet it
Seriously?
was always like tongue-in-cheek fun, whatever. To me, some of it was funny. The audacity these guys have to that very quickly through success was replaced by we love these guys. You're our guys. I remember when we were going to one Grammy presentation, I was walking from the day presentations to the night, like across the Staples Center. Maggie got so frustrated because we were getting stopped every 2 minutes for conversations and photos and hugs by the countless music makers that were there who were so grateful for that sound. And I remember it being such a proud moment for me because we came through for these guys at like when it's 1 a.m. and the snares is not right. And they were like, I'm going to go see what I can get from that sound. And within minutes, they're like, oh, we're good. And so we all know what it's like to really want to go to bed and get a little more sleep when you've been like burning it, trying to make the track and make the deadline. And so the fact that we were able to help music makers in any way like that, it was a massive success for us, you know. We had to accept the fact that people were going to steal it because it's the easiest thing to steal. Just like click and drag. It actually never even really made me mad. To me, it was like understandable. But in order for us to have any kind of like ability to keep doing it, to spend time on it, we needed to make some money for it to justify the work to our wives. You know, we made it affordable and we made it easy to access, and we built the whole company on we're just a couple of guys trying to do our best to serve you. And so in the end, the posse mentality won out to where we were able to kind of build a family, a That Sound family, and feel like we're all in this together, you know. And so that really was for us another win where every Monday when we met with our team, we really did feel like we were making a difference. And that's a wonderful feeling. For us, it was like not only on the equipping music makers side, but also on the inspiring side. We wanted people to feel like we were inspiring them to do better, to make better music. And then on top of that, we were celebrating drummers and music makers. Like we were celebrating individuals and bringing them on board and helping build their brand. I remember talking to one of the drummers, very successful session drummer, came on board and he goes, well, I just feel like I'm putting myself out of a job. And I said quite the opposite, because certain people can afford you to play on their record. Most can't, but you can contribute to those music makers too. It's just like you're giving them samples.
Oh, they're up in their whole brand because you're exposing them to way more people than anybody else.
And that's what they found. But initially you can see why someone would be like, why would I kind of kick myself out of a gig, you know? And it's like, well, because you either take $30 from that person and make their day, or they don't get your drums and you don't get $30.
As somebody who has mixed, I don't know, hundreds of songs a year since you've put those out there, it's by far the most ubiquitous thing I get. I mean, people don't label that it's that sound, but I'm like, oh yeah, that's whatever.
Oh, and it's incredible driving down the road and listening to the radio, which I never do, but my wife does. She's a religious radio listener. And thank God, because she always kind of steers me, you know, musically. She goes, oh, you should go over here. I was like, oh, well, all right. But at the end of the day, she listens all the time. And when I'm with her and she's listening, I hear that sound on so much stuff.
It's everywhere.
Everywhere.
I would say it's on 90% of the things that I've mixed. I mean, in CCM especially.
My favorite library we ever made was the hangar. We got to fly on a little jet to Denver, and we actually had access to the hangar for 2 days. So we flew in, we recorded all these songs in the hangar, and you can look up That Sound, the hangar, and on YouTube, and a video will come up, and I'm playing drums, and
there's like a 10-second reverb in there or something.
Oh man, it's crazy. And we did the yells. That ends up on so much stuff. There was zero tricks. Like we didn't have a great setup. We never used more than a couple of little pre's and a couple of mics on anything we ever did. I'm up last night doing a drum track for someone. I hardly do drum tracks these days. When I do, with the bigger sounds, like I've got an amazing drum room. It's beautiful. It's a lot of amazing natural verb in the stairwell, blah, blah, blah. I almost always add, for the producer that I'm working for, 1985. For me, there's the sample was actually the living room of the house we bought on the hill down the road here. And It was before we renovated, before we knocked anything down. It's still this A-frame now in the middle of the house. Most of it's modern line, like Japanese line, but we held onto this A-frame right where the chimney is. It had the most insane 80s feel verb, like that Simple Minds,
beautiful.
Tears for Fears. It was literally just captured on this, like a Ventec and a distressor, I think. And it's so good. And I use it on everything. If I want that big kind of, Phil Collins to One Republic to that kind of classic 80s, just big old sound. I use those samples. But yeah, we got to the point where, a lot of people were taking it, for sure. We still felt very fulfilled for the people who were contributing to the company. Dustin especially was like just getting burnt out. Just like it's so many emails, so many problems to help clients who don't know how to use this or don't know how to use this. And so in the end, he was like, we got to either spend a bunch of money to get to the next level or we need to sell. And so long story short, we decided to sell, and we were shopping the company that took us to Splice, who are in New York City. We sat down with the guy who created Splice, the guy who started it, Steve. And I said, what's the story behind this company? And he said, well, I'm a big Fish fan. And we could see behind him was like these tickets to a bunch of Fish concerts. And he said, there was this guy, Steve, went to the 12 in a row shows at Madison Square Garden. And it was one of those things where every day they had a different costume. It was maybe day 2, and he was so annoyed because he kept losing his friends and he couldn't get in touch with them. So he goes, well, I went home on the second night and I wrote the code so I could group text with my friends. I ended up calling it Group Me and selling it to someone for like a ton of money. And from there, he had the equity and the capital to start whatever he wanted, and he started Splice. And it's now by far the most used content company for samples. When Dustin and I sold the company to them, I didn't use it. I'd never used it. A little less than a year ago, I pulled it open and I had a bunch of credits. I started making music and I've never looked back. It's amazing.
I know producers who they live on that. That's
oh man,
they just type in what they want and a bunch of options.
Honestly, I can send you some examples today. You won't believe it. I've started doing sessions with one of the artists that we're signing, because Maggie and I have a label now. One of the artists that we're signing, she comes in, I start making a track on Splice, only on Splice. And she starts writing, and then we finish the song together. And it's when you're said and done, it sounds like we spent thousands of dollars on this thing. Feels like you're cheating, or like the police are going to come in at any moment and kind of handcuff you, You just can't believe this stuff is just...
have you gone down the AI rabbit hole, like AI vocals and stuff?
That is something I want to do so much, but I need you or someone to come over and just show me.
Oh, dude, it is absolutely scary stuff. I can sing the idea like you did to the BGV player, singer, right? Yeah. I can go sing, da 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 da, give me that line, right? Now, you just sing it, put it in there, and it gives you back.
Well, I need that.
It could be a 30-year-old black dreaded guy. It could be a lily white girl, and that's what you got. I'm doing records now where there's no live BGVs on it. It's all AI. Yeah.
I need
so
that.
Good.
I need
it's
that
easy
program.
to use. Ian Eskelin uses it, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
And he's like rudimentary level programming.
Well, that's
going to
be
me. Use it now.
Me
he's
and Ian
so
I need that in my life, that's for sure. I mean, like I said, I got the lines in my head, but what I do is so much more complicated. Like, I'll take the song and I'll key it up. If I want to sound like a big old beefy choir, I'll key it up, sing to it, and then key it down so I sound bigger and more beefy. That takes so long.
When I'm done with the day of mixing, I won't listen to anything. I'll listen to a podcast or talk.
Yeah, me
That's
too.
it, right? I listen to what I'm working on.
Yeah, me too. I listen to what I'm working on, and then I listen to ESPNs for something that is the opposite of what I do.
But you're not listening to music for fun much?
No.
Like, what you work on is the creative.
Sometimes someone will say to me, hey, check this out, and it really will grab me, and then I'll put it on in my car and I'll wear it out. It's kind of like I'm all or nothing. So it's like I won't listen to music at all, and then all of a sudden I'll hear something that I love, and I'll just inhale it.
What about Memory Lane? Like the Yacht Rock channel.
Yeah, I
discovered it one day, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, the funny thing about Yacht Rock for me is like, I know Dust, my that sound buddy, he loves Yacht Rock. I think it was too much. I mean, I was in it the first time. Like, that was when I was playing along to the records.
That's true.
Right?
You were.
So for me, like playing along to Rosanna, all of those Doobie Brothers songs, like all of that stuff for me, Chicago, it's too soon. in a way.
Dudes.
Like,
That's
I
great.
just see dudes in vests playing the casino. If I'm by the pool sipping a margarita or whatever, I want to listen to bossa novas and like classic bossa nova, or listen to some bebop, jazz, some Coltrane, Charlie Bird Parker, Bill Evans. I love Chet Baker. And that, for me, I refer to them as palate cleansers. It reminds me of like the roots. It just resets everything for me. I also love hip hop, not trap hip hop, but like legit kind of old hip hop. I'm just sucker for any kind of cool ditty. You know, at the end of the day, I do love music, obviously, but I don't really wake up in the morning thinking about listening to it. Honestly, by the time I finished a song, I don't even want to listen to the mix.
No, I feel you.
I'm done. Like, once I hand it off to you, I'm like, send it on. But I have to listen to it, right?
No,
but
you do.
I
You
don't
have to
want
guide it. What music do you like? Which is the worst question. I'm like, good music.
Good music.
If it's good, but for the most part, I'll take everything.
Yeah, same thing.
I music hate my children. I'll play them I'll play them some Rachmaninoff.
Yeah.
You know, I'll play them
Yeah.
everything across the bandwidth.
Yeah, sometimes I'll put like full on deep rabbit hole classical on in my car. And it sounds like I'm about to drive off a bridge or something. But it's just like, it's just that kind of melancholy kind of soundtrack to life. So sometimes you got to push pause on that because you just start to feel like you want to, you know, off yourself.
Well, you can listen to some John Williams and stuff. It's a bit more inspiring.
Yeah.
There you go.
But, you know, so for me, it's like, it's never one thing. It's always moving and growing and evolving. And my love for music is always I'm always kind of falling in love with it again. And I definitely go through ebbs and flows of wanting to listen and not wanting to hear any music at all. Being the introvert, coming back to that, it's like, in this world, we're so overstimulated. Even while I'm sitting here, I'm looking at this scene in the Grand Canyon because it's the
Makes
opposite.
you want to go there, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's the opposite of like what we experience. We're in a situation now where AI can create something that isn't even real. It's a mind-blowing world we live in now. So I actually went out about 1:30 in the morning last night as those storms were rolling over. And I got a patio that looks over like 9 acres. So it's just the woods. And so I just had this expansive lightning show happening. So I just stood out there for, 5-10 minutes and just took it all in. It was awesome.
Mate, I'm going to draw it to close. I'm going to shake your hand because that is my tradition.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Jordan Malowski episode. I'm still planning on making it for Thursday. We'll see if I can get it done in time. I hope so. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, the notification button, make comments, tell me stuff you don't like. Let's get into it. All right. So until then, may your ears hear only good audio. Stuff Paul's produced is a good idea. All right. See you then.